Hey everybody! If you weren't able to make it to class this morning on October 14th, then this is just a brief kind of redux of what we went over in class this morning about paragraph development and useful ways to think about structuring your paragraphs. So as a quick review, just remember that your introductions should kind of start with some kind of hook, whether that's about your topic or about the piece that you're working with, something to catch your reader's attention, and should kind of wend its way down into your thesis. Remember also that if you really need to, you can write 2 introductory paragraphs, the first one being the hook, and the second one being your bridge and your thesis. So we all know how to write sentences. At this stage of writing and of life, you know, a sentence needs a subject and a verb, it needs to be a complete thought, But what is trickier is how to connect your sentences together, how to create a sense of cohesion between your sentences, and how to create a sense that each sentence follows logically from the last. So there are lots of ways to talk about structuring your paragraph, but the one that I've found that works the best is the concept that from your topic sentence on down, every sentence you write should answer a question raised by the previous sentence. In short, every sentence is a question. Now, this doesn't mean that every sentence should end with a question mark. In fact, that would be a terrible way to write. At this stage in your writing, you want to excise questions from your writing as much as possible, unless it is casual or personal writing. So what this means, rather, is that there should be content in each question that allows you to there should be content in each sentence, that allows you to raise a question, and then your next sentence should extend your thought process in order to answer the question raised by the previous sentence. Let me show you what I mean. So here is a sample paragraph. This paragraph says, although most people consider piranhas to be quite dangerous, they are, for the most part, entirely harmless. Piranhas rarely feed on large animals. They eat smaller fish and aquatic plants. When confronted with humans, piranhas' first instinct is to flee, not attack. Their fear of humans makes sense. Far more piranhas are eaten by people than people are eaten by piranhas. If the fish are well fed, they won't bite humans. So although this is a very simple expository paragraph that just sort of informs its audience about piranhas, this is actually a pretty much perfectly cohesive paragraph, and we're going to break down why. So before you even start writing, the first thing that you want to do is to ask yourself, what do I want to say about my topic? What do I want to say about piranhas? What do I want to say about the way that my author uses ethos in their essay? And then the answer to that question is your topic sentence. Now your topic sentence needs to tell your reader what to expect in the paragraph to come. Your topic sentence needs to be about the topic of your paragraph. So you wouldn't want to start your paragraph by saying, here's an example of a thing, or you don't want your topic sentence to be something different than the rest of your paragraph. You want to start your paragraph by answering the question, what do I want to say about my topic? So in this case, the topic sentence says, that piranhas are harmless, despite public perception. So this first sentence brings up the question for me as a reader, why are piranhas harmless? And the answer to that is the next sentence. You can even say piranhas are harmless because they rarely feed on large animals, they eat smaller fish and aquatic plants. So this sentence directly answers the question, why are piranhas harmless? So now this second sentence brings up the question, what about humans? Because when we think about piranhas, the first thing that comes to mind is, oh, they're dangerous man-eaters. And that's even in the topic sentence here. So what about humans? When confronted with humans, piranhas' first instinct is to flee, not attack. So again, this answers a question that this sentence brings up. So now this sentence brings up the question, why do piranhas flee? Why is piranhas' first instinct to flee? Their fear of humans makes sense. Okay, so this is answering this question by saying that they are afraid of humans. And then it's extending this idea to provide new information in saying that this fear of humans is reasonable. So now this raises the question, why does it make sense? Far more piranhas are eaten by people than people are eaten by piranhas. So at this stage in the paragraph, I've been confronted with, 5 different pieces of information that explains the topic sentence. All of this stuff, these middle sentences, these middle 4 concepts, are all helping to explain how piranhas are actually harmless. So at this stage in the paragraph, I might ask a question like, okay, I get it. So what are you telling me? And the paragraph is telling me, if the fish are well fed, they won't bite humans. So this sentence is really sort of a redux or a summary of this topic sentence. So we go from how piranhas are harmless through what they do eat, how they don't attack humans, why it makes sense that they're afraid of humans, and then ultimately why they are harmless. So in our topic sentence, we are bringing up almost a little miniature thesis. Your topic sentence in an analysis or a persuasive paper is something that you need to demonstrate is true through your evidence. And in this case, the claim is that piranhas are harmless, and the rest of the paragraph goes about proving that point, and then following up with a final sort of summary of the point and why it's true. So again, as you can see, each sentence brings up a question, and the next sentence answers that question and then extends that information a little bit. And you can see that in this sentence. Why do piranhas flee? Piranhas flee because they're afraid of humans. But then that fear makes sense. So each sentence, you answer the question and you extend it a little further. You answer the question, extend your ideas a little further. So let's go back and we'll actually look at a kind of what this looks like as a format or as a process that you can follow. So this is really the basic process of writing a paragraph like this. First, you ask yourself, what do I want to say about my topic? And the answer to that is your topic sentence. A good next question to ask yourself is, what does that mean? What do I mean when I say whatever your topic sentence says? So then your second sentence would answer that question, therefore explaining your topic sentence. Then the next question that might bring up in your head is, well, where's your proof? What is an example? What is a piece of evidence to support this idea? Then in your third sentence, you can provide a quote, a piece of data, a statistic, a piece of evidence. You can paraphrase or directly quote your source. But the one thing that you need to remember about providing evidence or a quote in a paragraph is that you never ever just leave it on its own. You must always explain why you introduced a piece of evidence or why you introduced a quotation. You always must explain to your audience why your example matters. One way to think about this is that your audience is not dumber than you. That would be kind of a cruel position to take, but you should always assume that your audience knows less than you and that therefore they need you to be very thorough in your explanations. So your third sentence would be an example, a quote, a piece of evidence, and your fourth sentence should explain why your example matters in the context of your paragraph. And then finally, you could ask, how does all of this support your thesis? Because in a paper like the one you'll write, each paragraph works to support your thesis. So rather than in the piranha paragraph just tying it back to your topic sentence, you can use your last paragraph to tie all of this argumentation back to the overall thesis. So this is the structure of a basic 5-sentence paragraph. Your paragraphs for academic work should never really be shorter than this, but they can be longer. And really where their length comes from is parts 3 and 4. Because your examples, your evidence, your quotes can always be more than one sentence long. You can provide an example that is an anecdote that takes up 3 or 4 or 5 sentences. Likewise, it might take you multiple sentences to explain why your piece of evidence matters. So parts 3 and 4 can each be multiple sentences each. And you can also repeat steps 3 and 4. You can go example, explanation, example, explanation. You can give 2 examples and then explain them both. Or, like I said, you can devote multiple sentences to your example and or your explanation. And now that I mention it, you could also, explain your topic sentence in a couple sentences as well. So there are lots of ways that you can expand upon this idea to really create, hefty, meaningful, thoughtful, analytical paragraphs. So I encourage you to try this system at least once in your writing. See if it works for you. Look at the kind of paragraph that it helps you create and see if this is something that you can take with you throughout your writing process.